was anti-Dwaniro.
That's what I actually think.
That's what people think.
It's a battlefield. That's
yes.
what I thought.
That's what you think before going there. Naye when natuuka mu Addis Ababa, I got shocked. The country, the capital city, was more peaceful than even Uganda. Toyina olaba omusirikale ku nguudo nga bwe tubalaba wano. Toyina olaba mbeera ya bunkenke yonna.
Sure.
Bye biseera nga media gye twali tulaba international media nti abayeekera bali meters nga bina.
Because the way they saw us portrayed was that the country was devastated.
Yes.
Total conflict.
Yes.
Humanitarian crisis, anarchy, and the rest.
Which was far from the truth.
Are you sure?
Yes. It was completely far from the truth. Era okulwanyagana kuli oba kwali mu kaseera ako kilomita nga 700 away from the capital city, Addis Ababa. That is in the north in Tigray. So, abantu bali bagenda maaso n'emirimu gyabwe mu Addis Ababa nga tewali kulwanagana kwonna, tewali kutya nti waliwo n'eddoboozi ly'emmundu.
So what do you think was the objective of the falsification of stories? Who tried to portray a different picture from the truth? And what was the purpose?
Yeah, the truth is, bw'oba n'ekibiina ky'ebyobufuzi, Simon, ekibadde mu kulembeze emyaka 27, kiba kisobodde okukola ba allies si mu Africa mwokka, but strategic allies mu mutendera gw'ensi yonna. So it is anticipated that the one-sided narrative international media GIAWA was sponsored by the allies of the TPLF, the political party that was in power for 27 years. Number two.
TPLF?
Yes.
Is the political party that was in power for 27 years.
Yes.
So they were toppled by which one now?
Now, TPLF, you're using the word toppled, but it's not necessarily being toppled.
Lost election?
Yes. What maybe I need to bring to your attention, Simon, Ethiopia, eyina ekizibu kye tutayina wano mu Uganda. Nti system yaabwe bagizimbira ku mawanga. Nti bwe tuba twogera ku regional governments, zonna ziri based ku mawanga. So TPLF yaba Tigray.
Buganda government, Busoga government,
exactly.
The other government, and that kind of thing.
And the worst part of it is that these regional governments, zina abasirikale, zina amagye, zina police.
What do you mean by their own army?
Yes, they have their own forces.
Regional forces.
Yes.
Army, police, prisons,
yes.
Everything.
Yes.
What then brings them together as a nation?
But by the federal forces. So we have the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, and we have the regional forces. So for Tigray, their regional force is called the TPLF, Tigray People's Liberation Front.
For just a Sazerio.
A Saza.
So as the regional force battling the national force?
Yes. And now the worst part of it, look at this. Bwe twali mu mmotoka nga tusala okuva mu region emu ogenda mu region endala, abasirikale ba region eyo bakuwerekera.
Ndi mu
Buganda.
Ne tukutuusa ku Nairo ku mugga Kiira.
Bakomaawo.
Ne tukwasa Busoga.
Era emmotoka zituwerekera zaakomaawo ku Nairo. Twasanga ate abasirikale because twali bagenyi bayite ng'abasirikale b'e Busoga region batulindidde ku Nairo abatuwerekera ba escorts.
Bakutambuze.
Yes, we found like 7 waiting vehicles.
Bwe bakutuusemba ne bakwaninga batubugisu army. It's an interesting story. Anyway, I think there is something similar to that that's being coined here. Because Uganda Parliament in 2005, under Constitutional Amendment number 2, I think of 2005, voted to have regional governments here. The challenge has been, how do we want these regional governments to operate? Do we want them to operate as an extension of the LC5? Or do we want them to run like the decentralization system of Kenya? That every region has a government, a governor, a parliament, and core functions for that particular regional government. something of the nature of that sort is coming up. Actually, I think I have heard from the corridors of power that Mr. Norbert Mao, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, is preparing something of that sort. But take a government a year between now Busoga can have its own government.
It utilizes its resources.
Yet resources dayo like Kenya works. In a parliament here when you are voted to be a representative of Kalido, for example, at Bugembe. And as such, you legislate for them. But that parliament is funded and has money, the resources and the infrastructure and the setup to implement and solve societal problems.
Is it something you would support?
I would.
Why?
I would support, because
given what I've told you that is happening in Ethiopia.
Yes, that's a one-off. You actually said that out of the many regions that Ethiopia had, only one area called Tigray was having issues, which means in the areas where they can handle their issues very well, there was progress.
So why would you back it up? Why would you support it?
Why? One, tuli mu Chipoli, where but tujja okuyiga twena banaifa abangi basigala nga balambaire aye mu kugabula bayidda baalya. For example, any sober government running on a federal system in Uganda, for example, would make Busoga be the richest region in this country.
The richest?
If we operated the real federal system, forget a monarchical federal system, the one that is attached to monarchy, but if we ran a real federal system, a federal system Kenya, where we have those regional governments, Busoga ina masanyalaze. The mother of that, Busoga has a very hospitable and energetic population of 3.7 million. Busoga has the most fertile soil corridor in East and Central Africa. Soils that grow anything, unlike other dry regions like you have Karamoja or the others. Busoga is surrounded by many water bodies. Now, some people do not know how important water is. Some people do not know that water is a big resource. That there are countries that suffer to get water. If any sober government wanted to develop Busoga, it is the easiest region where I would put an irrigation system that whether there are rains or no rains, Busoga will still grow and produce enough. You understand?
I get it.
So, based on that comparative advantage, instead of taking Busoga like any other region and distributing resources like any other region, you would give them opportunity. If you gave us opportunity as Busoga, okutiyama, twateeka, twamana bye tulinawo, twamana nibye twenda, twamana bye tusoka okukolako. Busoga by now, I come from Kalido. The area is called Bulamoji. Bulamoji is 75 kilometers away from Shira Power Dam. But in my village, you have never seen electricity.
Oh, you've never seen?
There is no electricity.
We have electricity.
But the electricity we produce in Busoga
is in northern Uganda.
Has gone to northern Uganda, has gone to Rwanda, has gone to Kenya. What does it mean? That if we were running our own government, our first priority would be make every corner of Busoga have electricity. Should you have electricity, then you'll have spurred industrialization through, we can start even with the cottage industries. Because of that, our voice on electricity has come to Parliament, and we cry together with those who have had electricity. For example, Uganda has had electricity, I think, since independence. So we are forced to come and cry with them. Those who are fed up, abakuse, 60 years of electricity, with us who have produced it for 60 years without using it.
I agree with you. Entirely agree with you. But we should not be tempted to much as we may be agitating for that. I understand you and I hear you when you say, but region kozesa resources zayo okukyusa embeera n'obulamu bw'abantu baayo.
True that.
The temptation here I'm talking about.
What I wouldn't agree in the whole plan. I would not
is to have regional forces.
I wouldn't. That one I wouldn't. I would say the issue of regional, of national security and forces
should be handled by the central government. I agree. I agree with you.
Entirely.
There you have me.
But the issue of each region having its own force, no. With the kind of tempers we have here, we'll be fighting every day.
Okay.
You understand?
Simon, okuzaayo kati wali wetwatandikidde. Waddubuza nti lwaki tulaba what seems to be a deliberate disinformation campaign against a regime ya Abiy Ahmed. Jukira Abiy ono yali mu good terms.
Did you meet him? Did you get opportunity to meet him?
At least I met his deputy.
Have you talked to? Oh.
Yes, I met his deputy, deputy prime minister. But Abiy Ahmed yawangula Nobel Peace Prize, if you remember. Oluvannyuma lw'okuzaawo enkolagana wakati wa Ethiopia ne Eritrea eyali emaze akabanga nga situlungi. Kakati many people are shocked. Omusajja yali ayagalwa ensi yonna, lwaki ate mutugamba nti bamwefuulidde. Waliwo issue ya dam, Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GAD. In fact, it's going to be the largest in Africa. It's going to be number 7 in the entire world, producing more than 5,000 megawatts
of electricity.
Ez'amasanyalaze. Mu Uganda bw'ogattagatta dams zaffe zonna ze tulina, we produce around 600 megawatts of electricity. Katwogera ku damu emu nge producing 5,000 megawatts.
It is a game changer in Africa.
Yes.
It's a game changer in Africa.
But remember,
it's actually one of the few areas where I've agreed with Mr. Museveni when he was preaching electricity production, power generation.
Producer tukoze bulungi.
Some people were preaching at emizimu gyebuddagali girobye emizimu tugiri kwenda bintu bino. That one I agree with Mr. Museveni. Yababuza nti emizimu egitalina masanze gafulume mubenga mukayibo musuulamu omuntu akoja kusamu ekinusu. What kind of this? And he fought that single-handed, and today I can ably say that Mr. Museveni has scored on one, that when he said there will be no load shedding by this date, indeed we have eliminated load shedding.
Okay.
There was a time when you had the money and you would not get electricity. So this is the dam you're talking about?
Yeah, that dam has been a point of contention between Ethiopia and the downstream countries. The downstream countries here, I'm talking about Egypt and Sudan. And Egypt, ebadde ina backup ya US ne West on this dam. Egypt ingegamba Ethiopia teina kuzimba dam eno. Remember, this dam is entirely funded by the government of Ethiopia and the people of Ethiopia, both living within Ethiopia and outside Ethiopia. Dam eno, lwaki downstream countries, Egypt ne Sudan, bali tebagala Ethiopia egende maaso nayo. Remember, like for Egypt, amazzi gano bwe bulamu bwabwe, they entirely depend on this water. So they had fears nti okuzimba damu eno kigenda ku interfering ne free flow ey'amazzi gano. I remember 80% of this water actually does not come from this river Nile. No. This one comes from the Blue Nile.
Okay.
Gana amazzi gava eri mu Ethiopian Highlands ne gajja wano mu Ethiopia ne gayita mu daamu eno ne gasala ne gagenda mu Egypt ne Sudan. So those were the fears eza Ethiopia. In fact, bw'oba ojjukira nga Trump, ye president wa US, at some point ya threatening nako nagamba Egypt can come and bomb this dam. Or yali Trump nga threatening. So Ethiopia ezimbye damu eno entirely sente ze funding tefunye buyambi kuva bweru, ekutte kuzaayo ne banansi okusonda neteekawo damu eno nga tefunye any funding from outside. So naye nga bakikoze against
and that's a major
yes, they've done it amidst okuwakanyizibwa abazungu ne Egypt.
Are there traces of the downstream countries in this conflict? Would you say somehow there is South Sudan and Egypt in the whole conflict?
Allegations have been there because botunulira some of these regions as Ethiopia, sharing borders with these two countries. So there were allegations at some point that Tigray was getting funds and weapons through some of these downstream countries. Those allegations At least there is no proof to that, but those allegations are there. So there are people in Ethiopia who think that these downstream countries, in one way or the other, were supporting and facilitating Tigray with guns and other military hardware, with communication, tools. That's
a big project, because I believe bwetubani n'amasanzi 5,000 megawatts 5,000. So it means that Ethiopia alone esobola okuwa Uganda amasanzi agagimala, yawa Kenya amasanzi agagimala, yene yafuna agagimala. And I think there is something I've already said about the communication infrastructure of Mr. Museveni's government.
Yeah.
That there are things that come that Mr. Museveni has said nga biri n'omuzinzi, nga bikulaga omuntu ali visionary, nga bikulaga omuntu alaba ewala, oluusi nga naffe tutanabiraba. One of the things is masanyalaze. In very many international forums, Mr. Museveni has talked about Africa producing enough electricity as a game changer here. He has talked about it. Singa yabala amasanyalaze gokka nti bwe tuba tugafulumiza bulungi gatumala okukyusa Africa neba mu nsi engagga.
I agree.
Because that alone would spur industrialization all over the continent. Uganda too would also be a greater country. Actually, one time in one conference, yabalako n'obungi bw'amasanzi ageetagisa in the whole continent. He said, this is what we would need, and if we produced this will be the excess that Africa as a continent would sell outside. And we never minded about but I think it's a communication problem.
Simon, nga bw'oyogedde nti Africa tetuli baavu kubanga tuli baavu in its sense. Tuli baavu kubanga tulemereddwa okwe-exploitinga resources zaffe ze tulina empitirivu. Let's just go by what you're saying. Amasanyalaze. Ethiopia, I'll refer to Ethiopia so much because at least I have extensively studied it and followed it so much.
You are now raising my appetite to visit the country. A country of 110 million people.
Yes.
A dam project of 5,000 megawatts of electricity. A country where each region has its own forces.
Yes.
I am actually imagining how good are they at communication. They are able, one region is able to communicate to the other. By the way, we are now bringing the team of Adam Kunga and the other.
That communication, they do. And all that is spearheaded by the federal government. Because they have the federal government and the regional governments.
What could be the key function of the federal government? Like, what is that they share that they have left for the federal government to do?
Security. For example, what was say? Because musemateeka waabwe era kino ndowooza y'ensonga lwaki obadde olaba nga gavumenti ya Abiy Ahmed egamba tetusobola kutunuulira ng'abantu mu Tigray abaana bato abali wansi myaka 18 bakozesebwa ku frontline, tetusobola kutunuulira abakyala nga batusibwako buliisamaani. All sorts of atrocities committed on the people. Nga federal government mu ssemateeka baweebwa obuvunaanyizibwa okukuuma buli munnansi wa ggwanga lya Ethiopia waali ne tusigala nga tutunula.
At those extreme levels,
yes.
Now the national army comes
in.
That if a regional force now takes up the unfortunate duty of torturing its own people, or mistreating them or something, then the national army prevails. Is that the arrangement?
That's one. Two, borders. Singa waliwo external attack okuva ebweru wa Ethiopia. National forces now come in.
Do they draw from the regional forces?
Yes.
Say like you do constitute national defense.
Yes, they do.
That's how it happens?
Yes. But also,
those are lokolo. Iwe nakulira ebugembe nga tulina lokolo.
Lokolo nga kyeki?
Lokolo walinga poliisi ene imwe ya gavumenti. Waba poliisi bayitanga lokolo.
Ngaekola ki?
Lokolo ndo. Lokolo yakola. Bana lokolo yakola nga ki? Bana abali emondidukizi twabanga ni poliisi twayitanga tuli lokolo. Era ebugembe twalinga n'omwe bamwetanga.
Lokolo.
ebamwetanga Baliraine, the late Baliraine, yalinga DPC wa lokolo, nga tini DPC waidinda yona. Those are, I don't know how it used to work, but abali banatuwezanga ebintu. Kale katusoke tuwumule mu katono, tuile tweyongereyo nembo zefeni Adam Kungumba, ndikuongeza ku bigambo bya Doreen Mwesige eby'olugendo lwa Adam Kungu lwa Ethiopia n'okwenda okutegeera ebyobufuzi ebiriyo. But in the next when we return, we'll look at the Muhoozi project in the next phase. Anyway, thank you for that wonderful insight. I think I'll find time and go to Ethiopia.
Inshallah.
I admire getting to the country.
Inshallah.
I have not asked, how did you get funds to go to Ethiopia? That after the break.